Hi, it's Johanna. Welcome to my channel. I recently uploaded a video about my family's experiences with abuse in an apostolic church, and I want to do more videos a little bit about that, like maybe question and answer type thing. And I'm going to wait and see more comments and questions that might come in on that video to use for that. But I wanted to, when I was editing the video, I learned a lot from telling my story and putting things together. Since then, actually, since I was editing the video, I started putting things together, like the timelines. So I chose to be baptized in March of 2022, and it was in my aunt's Pentecostal church. And then about a month later, my husband at the time committed what I remember to be his first act of physical violence towards me. And it actually triggered me back to when I was a child, riding in the car with my parents, and the way that my dad would drive and the way he would behave. And it was dangerous and aggressive and scary. And then the way he would react to my mom when she would tell him to slow down and stop doing that. And my brother and I were sitting in the back, and we would see or not see like parts of what he was doing on the road. But I had told that to my husband at the time, and it wasn't until after, we had been married for at least 2 years. Yeah, we'd been married for 3 years, and that was the first he did that. And I had told him about my childhood and that had happened. And it wasn't until after I was baptized. And I was wondering about, is this a coincidence? And then I also look at the timeline for when I started to purchase fragrances and when that addiction started. And that addiction started about less than 2 months after he did that abusive driving act when I was in the car with him. And so my fragrance addiction, buying fragrances, completely began. I never bought fragrances before in more than like a span of like one in a year, or even less often before that. So my fragrance addiction started after I was baptized by maybe 3 months, and it started about 2 months after he abused me in that way. I was like, wow. Like what? I was wondering, like, what, if any, relation is there to my baptism? Because my baptism is a good thing, positive. And I'll get into the reasons why I chose to get baptized too. But I was thinking about how the pastor, when he was baptizing me, and there's a video, it's at the end of that video that I show of me being baptized. He's talking about it's a clean slate. All of my previous behaviors and sins or whatever are going to be wiped clean when I get baptized. And then afterwards, after I'm baptized, I can move forward. And he says something about God using me, when I go back to Oregon, God using me. And so all of this is on an unconscious level. I was thinking, my husband at the time wasn't a religious person. Even though we got married in a church, he wasn't religious. And there could have been some aspect of jealousy there for me being baptized, choosing to be baptized. He chose not to, and continues to choose not to be baptized. But like maybe potentially envy or jealousy. But then why would he abuse me like a month later, less than a month later? And also, how did the baptism affect me in relation to my fragrance addiction? Because I mentioned in a video a few months ago about my addiction and what I discovered about causing that. And so being baptized made me more aware that that is not an option. I cannot give up. I have to go forward, and I really don't know how. I don't know how to function with this new way. Once he did that, I could no longer ride in the car with him safely or with any level of trust. So, and yet at the same time, I wasn't in any kind of position financially to break up with him. I might lose my house. I wasn't in any position, I felt, and I didn't have anyone that I felt I could tell that to until I made a decision. I didn't have any support people that I felt I wanted to burden with the information. Yeah, it sucks. My family's attitude about abuse in marriage has always been just keep trying and go back. And that's always been the attitude that my aunts and uncles have had towards my mom, and that's their youngest sibling, you know, when she was in an abusive marriage with my dad. So, you know, she told me she knew if she went back to her parents, her dad, because her dad and my dad's dad had arranged the marriage between my parents. So my mom knew that the answer would not be leave him. So she didn't even ask. So she just kept going and trying. And things got more and more distorted and messed up because she kept doing that. To the point where she no longer knew where there was a line, if there was any line. And so for myself, I had been previously divorced, and I didn't want to be divorced again. And I had gone into that marriage with my then husband with a trust that God had told me this person is here to be matched with you. So I had trusted that, and I didn't believe God would lead me astray, especially to a place where I would have to get a divorce in order to survive and not be destroyed. So I was trying to keep going and not let myself be destroyed by that. So I'm not blaming the baptism. I'm saying that I believe it impacted me psychologically on that level, combined with the abuse that I went through right afterwards. And I had been trying for the 2 years following that abuse. I had been trying to save money and be able to be financially okay if we did get a divorce. That was the plan. But it never worked out. And one reason is because I couldn't stop buying fragrances. So, you know, it was me defeating myself, but trying to keep going. I needed to keep functioning, and I needed to keep going. And I didn't see anyone, including God, telling me, stop, get away from him. You'll be fine on your own. Instead, I saw signs that I needed to stick it out and try my best, try everything I could think of. So that's what I did. And so I'm just going to follow up on what I said earlier. The reasons I got baptized. There were two main reasons that I can think of that come to mind. And I can't tell which one I should prioritize, to be honest. I'm not sure which one played a bigger role. There were two, and they were separate. One was I was raised Christian, and the teachings are that you should be, if you're an adult, if you become of an adult age, you should be baptized, born again, blah, 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 in the church, the right way. And they have it laid out all the ways. My relatives have, over the years, have collected from these preachers all of the specifics about the words should be used, the words that should be used and not used, and what direction you should be dunked, everything. So I then thought, well, my aunts believe in this church. They've been going for 45 years. Then I figured that's a go-to. Like, I told my mom about it, and she arranged it with my aunt that when I came in to visit in Pennsylvania, they would baptize me after the service. So it was like I wanted to put my relatives at ease, because I had been hearing for many years about how my aunts were trying to get my uncles who hadn't been baptized. Yeah, in fact, I don't think any of the 3 uncles had been baptized. So my aunts were trying to convince them at various times, like if they were in the hospital especially, but like to get baptized. Like they offered their church to be baptized in. Well, so one of my uncles did get baptized. That's right. He got baptized at a different church, I believe. He was the one that stayed silent and didn't share his story. He just stayed silent and remained, celibate for the rest of his life. And then the other uncle refused. Right, the youngest, the one I told you in the other video, who said that he didn't believe in God and didn't want to be baptized, him and his wife, who had both been raised in that church in Philadelphia. They were married there. He refused up until he never did. He died. He passed away several years ago, and he never was baptized. And my aunts I have negative feelings about that he refused to do so. And then my other uncle, who was the one in the story, who wouldn't stand up in church. Something I remembered about that is that this is what my mom told me, in the last few days, that uncle who was asked to stand up in church right after saying no to Bishop Sheldon, that it wasn't until after that event where the family looks at him like, why is he being asked to stand up? And then why isn't he doing what he's been asked? It wasn't until after they went home that uncle told the family what had happened. So meaning he had kept it inside. He had just thought, whatever. And he's going to let his family keep going to the church because it's just his experience, why would they change? And so when that happened, they kind of want to know why, what was up with that? Why did he tell you to stand up? Why didn't you stand up? And then he told them. So the uncle who stayed silent continued to stay silent, but he had spent lots of time down at that church. So I guess the whole family I know multiple members have told me they thought maybe he was gay, and he remained celibate the rest of his life. And so they had a thought he might be gay. And my mom said that she thought that maybe he was come on to during the time he spent there, quite a lot of time down there, and that maybe he had succumbed to what he was told to do. And so that would kind of make sense as far as why he would have stayed silent all those years until he died now. And so, yeah. So one refused, the youngest, he refused, and he also refused to believe in God. Then the other one did accept it, but he was pretty hesitant. It's just he basically did it for that one reason, probably, or both reasons that I shared about myself, like mainly to make everyone feel happy and not concerned about his eternal soul or whatever. And so for me, I wanted to have an insurance policy regarding that. It's like better safe than sorry, and I couldn't see any harm that it would do, and also put my relatives' minds at ease, because I don't want them worrying about me, And so I got baptized to make people feel better and myself feel better. I don't regret getting baptized. I don't regret that. But it is kind of strange to be seeing these patterns in the timeline and seeing how that impacted me and changed my behaviors. Like being abused after I was baptized, it, made me like not want to sin anymore, not want to do the wrong thing anymore. Not want to get a divorce because that's a sin. I was taught, I don't know if it's true. I don't think it's true, but I want to be safe, Yes. So I don't know. Anyway, feel free to drop your comments below, and I hope to upload some of these tarot card readings soon, because I've been doing them since the after the election results, starting the day after, and I'm curious as to how all that's going to go. I have started. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and talk to you soon.